Not gonna play that intro twice. What's up, guys? Welcome to Jenna X. We have a really exciting show tonight. It's actually super educational and one that I found that a lot of people need to know more about. That's right. I'm talking about validators on the XRPL. What I've actually found out is that a lot of people who hold XRP and are really, really bullish on XRP actually know very, very little about the XRPL or, how validators work on the XRPL. When you start to mention amendments and voting, they start to look at you like you're growing another head. So I think it's important that as XRP holders, we at least know the basics. So I brought a very special guest here with me who is an XRP OG. I have Lady K with me in the house tonight. And guys, this lady really doesn't need that much of an introduction because I feel like everyone knows her here, but she is always hosting X Spaces. She is the co-host of Digital Ladies Unscripted. And above all, she is a wonderful educator and community builder in the XRP and Web3 space. Welcome, Lady K. How are you doing tonight?
I'm great. Thank you for that intro. That was nice.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? You are an absolute wealth of knowledge, and I appreciate you making the time to be on here tonight because I know you have your own shows tonight as well that you have to do. So I appreciate that.
Awesome. No, I'm glad to have this conversation. Um, yeah, let's dive in.
Awesome. Well, okay, so guys, I think it was back in January. I saw you were setting up your own XRPL validator, and I thought it was really interesting because you were documenting your journey with this. And that's why I had Lady K come on here because, a lot of time when you start to talk about this topic, I think it's a little intimidating for a lot of people because they think, "Oh my gosh, I'm not a developer. This is making my head spin. I don't even need to know how this works." But I do think that it's really important. So let's just start with the basics. If What role does a validator play on the XRP ledger? Like, what does it do?
Oh, okay. So, and there's two, right? There's the submission node, and the submission node just submits transactions and queries the ledger. And then there's validators that do all that. They can submit transactions, they can query the ledger, but they also participate in consensus and voting. I lost sound on you. I
Okay,
think.
so we have two different kinds. Is there an importance level to them?
Well, both
Like,
both do important things. I mean, like the submission node is public because it submits transactions, right?
okay,
And then validators are supposed to be private because they participate in consensus. So you don't run both unless you can lock down your node and keep your validator separate and private. So it just depends on like what you're trying to do. Because like if you're a project trying to submit transactions for your platform, you're going to want to run a submission node. And if you're trying to participate in consensus and vote, you'll want to run a validator. But the setup is a bit different because node is public, validator is private.
okay, which did you choose to set up?
Well, okay, so I used Chris's XRPL bootcamp course,
Okay.
and it actually walks you through setting up the submission node
Okay.
first, and then it backtracks a few things like shutting off your WebSocket, which would be public, and then converting it to a validator.
Okay.
So I walked
Gotcha.
through that process where I set it up as a submission node first and then turned it into a validator. And you mentioned that thread. I'm really glad that Vet asked me to do that. He suggested that I put it public, and I thought, what a great idea because, before when people would talk about validating, I'm like, I can't even wrap my head around what that entails, right? And so I kind of just did it as like this is what I had to do. These were my hurdles, and I did it in a way that I would have enjoyed if somebody had done it.
I loved it. I thought it was so cool. And it was funny, like, it was right after Christmas, and you're on here, you're like, okay, so the hardware came in. I have my husband, he's like setting this up for me. I'm taking down the Christmas decor. And then you mentioned on here how you bought certain things, but it was overkill. So if you're going to set up your own validator, um, how did you go overboard here, and what could you have done differently as like a bare minimum
Well,
to
I didn't want people to think, "Oh, I need this expensive computer," because you don't. I bought it because like I am I'm not technically challenged, but I didn't go to school for tech and coding, right? So like I'm
Okay.
right there in the middle. And I thought like, okay, if I can't figure this out and do it, at the very least, I'm gonna have a really nice new computer. So I bought
Right.
the computer that I want to use if this just went poorly. Because if I just bought a basic one and then it didn't work out, I'm like, I spent money on this computer that I probably wouldn't have bought. So
Do
that's why
you
I said that.
do you need to have just like a desktop computer would or like no laptop? You should not use a laptop. You should have a small basic desktop computer.
Yeah, so there's requirements, and I can send you the link, but there's like requirements like how many cores you need or RAM or whatever. So as long as the computer meets those requirements and you can run it, then it works. I always laugh because Chris Thompson's like, I can do it on a Raspberry Pi. Like, that's cool. I probably couldn't, but he knows, how to do those things. So.
Oh my God. I think I remember when Polkadot was having all of these different airdrops from different projects that were building on them. And they sent me this Raspberry Pi, and they were like, oh, you can claim this peak airdrop and this other one and some of these chains that aren't even around anymore. And I can't tell you how long I spent with that, watching so many tutorial videos, and they made everything look super easy. And I'm like, I'm not using this damn thing. I'm done. I was like, I'm over this, so over this. That's
Yeah.
funny.
I mean, and that's the thing too, is that everybody's like computer's different, their
Mm.
internet's different, their router's different, you know what I mean? So actually downloading the Ripple D software to run the
Okay.
software, which is what the node that's the node running, is actually really simple. It takes like 5 minutes. Um,
Okay.
it is setting up the environment to run it that's difficult. You know what I mean? Like getting the hardware that can handle running it and running it smoothly. Your internet needs to be able to handle it. Your router. We did get a backup battery, and
Oh, wow.
so that's helpful. But if the internet goes down, the internet goes down. Which I've had pretty good, steady internet like until a couple months ago they started working on the lines, right? um, another thing too, like you got to open ports. I didn't even know my internet had ports, so it was like a really good learning experience and all those things. And that's the hardest part, is setting up the environment so that the Ripple D software can run.
How long did it take you beginning to end to set up?
I ended, how long did that say? I want to say it was like a week or a week and a half. When did I end that?
Let's see, hang on. Okay, so we started January 4th. I thought it was cute because you finally had enough and you're like, I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
I will configure this tomorrow. I have to configure the DNS to point to the server, and I'm going to bed now. Let's see, by the time you finally got it, well, you have just like that. My node is active and running, and that seemed like it was within a day. And then January 5th,
I still had
I
to
hit a
configure.
snag. Yeah, while checking the Ripple server state peers is showing 10. Chris says in the XRPL bootcamp course, this would be because port 51235 isn't open. So then it shows how you went through all of your troubleshooting with that, and you figured out how to test it from another device. Nope, it's not open. I love this because you're going through your whole journey with this. And guys, if you're going to set this up, I would definitely have this because you have your Cliffs notes. January 5th, you're like, fuck it. I'm about to say fuck it. I'm laying on the floor. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. Um, I would say, let's see, by the end of it all, it looks like you got it on The ninth.
So the
So I
4th to
think
the
5
ninth.
days. Yeah.
So about a week.
I mean, 5 business days.
Yeah.
That's great though.
And
Uh,
if you know a little bit more than I do what you're doing, it probably would take you less time.
do you have any developer experience, like any techie experience before you set this up?
Very basic. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like in the sense of like I learned the Excel code to run macros in Excel, or you know what I mean? I worked in a corporation where you know, I mean, you had a remote in and things of that nature. So I knew a little bit, but I didn't know how to code. And actually it was Chris's boot camp course that really made this possible because I had actually never worked in a terminal before. And so going through the course, like I learned how to put in command prompts and,
Mhm.
you know, those types of things. And that was really the basic foundation for then going through the validator setup. So
Okay.
I yeah, and you know what? Just learning all that stuff has been really just a good experience in itself.
Did you have like any friends like close by to help you through it, like with different questions and stuff like that as you were going through?
Oh, there's so many people that are helpful. Like, you know, Chris is like, let me know if you need any help with the course and vet, you know,
Yeah.
100%. And, you know, Tim, when I was even starting the course out, um, I'm probably forgetting somebody that has helped me. I mean, I know like FOMO, even Rippleton was like sending me links, like, here's your router setup. So there's so many great people. Like the people in the XRPL community, you know, definitely help you know, everyone helps everyone, I feel like. So if
They
you're
do.
trying to set it
Definitely.
up, you can reach out to anyone running a validator and they're going to help you.
Why did you decide to run a validator if there are, as I understand it, no economic incentives at all to run a validator for the XRPL?
Well, I always thought it was cool of the people that do run it because there are no rewards. It was something that I always thought like, oh, if I could do that, I would do that because I think it's cool you do. And so when I took that course and it was like, we're going to walk you through it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually going to be able to do this because I just coded a wallet myself. You know what I mean? I never thought I could do that,
Nice.
right? So
Nice.
yeah, and I know there's no rewards, but I do have an investment in the network, so I care about the network. I think
Mhm.
it's a really cool technology, like in the sense of like how does a network of computers come to consensus, you know?
Mhm.
And that's been an old problem. So
Yeah.
no, yeah, I enjoy doing it.
I love that. I love that. Now, okay, so how much do you think it costs in general to run a validator? Let's say like your beginning setup, maybe if you're buying a basic computer, but just overall to run this on a monthly basis, yearly, what are you looking at?
So it depends on whether you host your own website or not, because in order and it's not necessary that you do the domain and point it to your validator and have the tomo file, right?
Mhm.
But you're not considered verified if you don't. So a lot of people use like a hosting service to host that website, and that's going to be a cost to them. I wanted to host it myself because I didn't want any subscription fees, and then I had to get a whole nother computer for that. So, because I originally had the website on the same computer, it's like running 24/7, it made sense. But Chris Thompson was like, you're totally exposing, you know, your IP or something. It's an attack vector. You need to get that website
Oh,
off of the same computer that the node is running on. So I'm like, okay. So I found an old computer because you don't need anything fancy at all,
okay.
and I turned that on and hosted the site there. So I saved on that subscription fee, but if you don't do that, you know, you'd have that fee and then the electricity. So, and then that just depends on like how much wattage that computer, you know, puts out.
Sure.
That's going to cost you. It's why I got the minis for them too, because they're extremely energy efficient, and both the Algorand node and the XRPL node are together are only putting out like 30 or I don't it varies like 30 to 50 watts,
Okay.
which
What
I think is like $40 a year. I mean, it's like not a lot.
Oh, yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Was it easier or harder setting up the Algorand validator? And what are the differences that you found, like benefits wise? Do you get algo if you're running an algo validator? What's that
Oh, okay. Well, it's nice to get rewarded. I'll say that.
like?
But so Algorand, okay, I didn't have to do the website.
Okay.
And so it was in that sense, it was a lot easier. It really was just by the computer and set up the node, but I still had issues with Algorand. I used Funk. A community member had made this really nice way to set it up easy, and then you have a dashboard and you see all your metrics. And I'm like, cool. But I was having an issue with it. So when they came out with NodeKit, I switched over and I set it up using like the command prompts, and it's actually been really fine. I mean, unless my internet is interrupted, neither node goes down. So
Okay. Very cool. But do you get paid out with algo?
yeah, and right
That one
now,
does? Okay.
yeah, right now they are doing a like incentive, the foundation, because you get paid the transaction fees within the block if you win the block.
Okay.
And but the but Algorand transaction fees are very low. So the foundation is offering 10 algo per block that you win.
Okay.
And it's going to slowly decrease until it's nothing and you're just earning like the transaction fees. So I don't know
Oh.
how long that's going to go, a year, 2 years. I'm not exactly sure.
Oh, I did not realize that. I just learned something new. So the amount of algo is it just like kind of keeps going down. I had no idea. I had no idea about that. Wow,
Well, as
that's
far as
cool.
the incentive goes, and then
Yeah,
when that incentive that the foundation when it goes to zero, you're just earning the transaction fees within that block.
gotcha, gotcha. How many blocks can you validate per day with
So
algo?
I
One.
really like Algorand's consensus mechanism because
Okay.
they have you are picked randomly and secretly, the validator that proposes the
Okay.
next block. And so you can't collude on a network when you don't know who's going to propose the next block, right? Or confirm the next block. And the amount of algo you have is like, think of it like a ticket, right? So the more algo you have, the more chances you have in that lottery system.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. I have a question from one of the audience members. Is there a penalty or strike if a node gets timed out or loses service due to an outage?
So that depends on the network.
Okay.
There is no penalty for XRP, and there's actually no penalty for Algorand either if you go down. You just have to re register again. Corium blockchain is the next one I'm going to do.
Okay.
And there it like that's bonded and there is slashing. And so I'm a little nervous about that one, but I'll cross that bridge when we get there. That one I might actually have to do some cloud hosting and stuff because, if your internet goes down and you get slashed, that's a problem, especially if people are delegating
Yeah.
to you. And I haven't
Oh,
tried. I haven't tried delegation on Algorand yet. I was going to, but then it was like you got to put in your key and stuff, which actually I don't know why I'm being weird about it because technically another thing I like about Algorand is that I generated a uh, key to vote on behalf of my wallet. So my
okay.
wallet keys are not attached to the validator.
Oh, nice. That's super
Yeah.
secure.
Hmm.
Okay, so question, and this is weird. But what happens if, like, let's say somebody dies? who's a validator. Like, and you're on the XRPL, you're inactive. Is there something that can be done to like sweep away inactive validators or make them go away that are basically holding things back, like holding
Oh,
amendments back from being passed, etc.?
oh, okay. So technically, if you're a validator and your computer goes down, you're just
Yeah.
down. Like you're
Okay.
already out. The problem that I think you're thinking of is we have a UNL
Yeah.
and the network only listens to the UNL. So if a UNL goes away and we're down a UNL, that might be an issue because we only have 36 UNL and a quorum is 28.
Right.
You know
So
what I
what would
mean?
happen?
Okay, so in theory, the way it's designed is that all of us validators, because us validators, we choose who we want to trust and we put it in our validator, right? So in theory, all of us validators need to go on and we need to bring in more nodes, put more nodes on our trusted list or take nodes off of our trusted list to change the UNL.
Okay. All right. So of course there's like a plan for it and everything. I just wondered how that would go. And then I guess like if you are on like with Algo or Corium, if people are delegating to you and let's say something happens, you go down, then do they just get like some kind of notification, hey, you have to choose a different validator, or what happens to them?
Oh, well, so I was actually participating in a couple that have gone down or, you know, got jailed, right?
Okay.
And I've been slashed. And so that kind of sucks because if you're on a network that has slashing and a validator and slashing is supposed to incentivize validators to not do wrong.
Okay.
Keep it running, don't act maliciously. And if the validator violates that, the penalty is I'm going to take tokens and they're going to take tokens that have been delegated to you too. And it's a certain amount
Oh,
depending. And so it's to incentivize validators to not do that, which is good, but it sucks when you have been slashed. But it's not a whole lot, to be honest. Like the one time I'm like, I've already earned way more than they just took. You know what I mean? So
mhm.
it hasn't been like terrible. That was like my biggest fear. Like, what if I pick a validator and then I get slashed and I lose all my coins? But you don't lose all your coins. Um,
Okay. All right.
but
Got it.
well, did
So
I lose my train of thought? Did I answer that?
you did. You did.
Okay.
So, okay. Going back with this now with the XRPL, you get to vote on different amendments, right? For everything, whether you want something to pass or not.
Mhm.
Yes? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. How many do you think that you've done so far this year? Like, have you voted on since you've had your validator?
Um, three now.
Okay.
So, and how it works is that when amendments are coded in to the blockchain, and then the vote is what activates them.
Okay.
So, updating to the Ripple D software to the new version
Mhm.
is putting the new amendment code. You're running it now, the new amendment code. But then the vote actually makes it go active. Of course, the network only listens to the UNL, but once that hits 80%, over 80% for 2 weeks, then that amendment is activated.
Got you. And that would be pretty interesting though, because if you are running a validator, it's really cool because then you have to stay up to date on what all the different proposals, all the different amendments are. So I think that that would be really interesting because you're literally in the know of what's going on the ledger, what's next, and how that affects you for the
Yeah.
future. That's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting. I was trying to find on here, and I don't know if you know the website. Maybe this is the one, the scan. Oh, here it is. This is pretty cool. Um, Let me see if I can bring this up here. So this is a little chart that I found, and it's kind of neat because you can kind of keep track of everyone and you can see who's upgraded. So this is what the Ripple 2.6.1. Are you on that one now?
Yes, I am on that
Upgraded
one
to
now. Yeah.
Rippled. The different version. Okay, so what happens to the people down here who are in the red, who are still in 2.5.0? Are they holding anything back? How important is it that they, upgrade?
It's important that they upgrade, but technically, like, so their node can still keep running, right? Like, because it is Ripple D software. They're just not running like the new code for the new amendments. But that doesn't mean that the new amendments don't work still. It just means that they're falling behind and they risk getting forked because if the version goes so far past what they're doing, they risk forking off because now they're not running the same code as all the others.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Um, okay, yep. Sorry, awesome Amy just came in. We did kind of break it down, but if Lady K wants to say that again, the
Really?
out-of-pocket fees run nodes per chain monthly, yearly. Sorry if I missed it. Mainly electricity and web your
Hosting fees.
domain hosting, right? Yeah.
And
So
then your computer hardware that you buy for it. And that is all varies based on a whole lot of things.
yes, that's not too bad. Okay, cool. So to be a good validator, you just have to keep everything updated, and we could like kind of probably call out people that are down here to see, and then you can
Now,
check out.
I also want to point out you're looking at the submission nodes.
Okay,
So
okay,
we have 960 submission nodes, and then there's 190 validators.
okay,
And the submission node I went through before, they're the ones just submitting transactions and querying the ledger. And the validators are the one participating in consensus.
okay.
XRP Scan added a cool feature to show which validators have voted when they voted and even if they've revoked their vote. So
Oh, is
that's
that on here? Can I pull that up on here?
yeah, it's it's somewhere. Um is
Would
it
it be under
under
amendment?
like maybe amendments. Click on amendments.
Okay, yeah, because you can see how people voted.
Yeah, no, but it's a better timeline, so I'm not sure. I checked it out when they first went out and I just don't remember how to get there, but it's somewhere on that site. Unless it's at the very bottom, or maybe it was under that page under a different tab, the last page you were on.
Oh, okay, let
Uh,
me see. We have metrics, AMMs,
I
validators,
meant where it
amendments.
says like validators,
Mhm.
or see under network stats. Go up. It says network stats. And then underneath it says like validators, default UNL. Maybe it's one of those
Mhm.
tabs.
For some reason, those won't actually let me click on them. I don't know if they're not
Oh, that's
actual.
weird. Okay.
Yeah. But then again, it might just be my computer being weird. Um, but this is pretty cool because you can go down through and see who is running them and everything. And I've got to say, Zaldao, it's pretty cool. They just started running theirs. It's live. But one of the things I wanted to hit on that I've noticed is a lot of people, and this has to do, like, I think they were confusing with DAOs. I think they're confusing governance, like community voting in a DAO, what you're voting on. With what validators vote on.
Mhm.
Can you kind of break down the difference of like what you're voting on? You're voting on things that have to do with actual amendments and things. Like let's say what it would have been like back in the day, XLS 20 or whatever it might be right now. The clawback that we just had, the other year, there was all the controversy over whatever it might be. You're voting on those types of things. But whenever you're in a DAO, you're voting on like let's say proposals, what you're going to do for grant money, how you want to run the DAO, what you're going to do with profits, different things like that. But there is now a DAO being run there is a validator being run for the Zao DAO. So they will actually allow members of the DAO to be able to vote, voice their opinion of how they want to vote with that, which is pretty cool. But I don't want people to mistake like, oh, I'm part of the DAO. I have a say of like, what validators do. It's not the same
Yeah.
thing.
And no,
Just
it's
agree.
not. And I mean, I can kind of see why they would think, right? Because like it's the same as in um you have a group of people and
Yeah.
they're voting, and then, you reach a threshold, but they're set up for very different purposes. They're structured for very different purposes. So
Yeah.
validators are running the blockchain, they're submitting transactions, they're querying the
Yes.
network, and they are voting on new amendments or code changes to the blockchain. And like the ZAO is a group of people that are going to get together to try and help the blockchain, but they're going to be voting on how they help the blockchain, what they do with the funds, right? And so like people can say, oh, I want to do this. And then ZAO can like help fund it. Uh,
Mhm.
ZAO has a seat on the foundation. They're running a validator. So they're going to have a lot of pull there to help those things that the people within the DAO vote on. But at
Yes.
the end of the day, you're not running the ledger. Yeah.
Exactly. So there is that hard difference. And if people are new to or new community members, it's just like these are all things you have to learn. You don't just walk in knowing. So I'm grateful for you to come on and like help me to explain these different things and to break this down for me because my level of understanding of validators is very, very basic. I just know, that they're voting on amendments. I know, they have to push through certain things. I know they need to be updated. I've never gone through setting up my own. I couldn't tell you anything about it. So that's why I thought it was so cool to be able to hear from you, like your journey with it, your frustrations. You've actually done it, which I just think is so cool. Because I know that you're an OG of XRP and a believer in helping to secure the network and everything. I think that that's great that you're doing that. And I also have a lot of respect for the projects that are building on the XRPL that also contribute to running a node to be able to, give back. I feel like you should do your part because it's so cheap. You know what I mean? To be able to build on the XRPL and you have that there for you. So I think it's a great thing to do. Oh,
Yeah.
hang on. Vet's in here. What's up, Vet? Can Lady K touch on fee and reserve voting? How does that work? Oh, that's a great, great topic.
It is. So the validators do have to vote on what the reserves are. I mean, you have the transaction fee, and you have the account reserve, and you have the object reserve, right? So the wallet reserve, and then the reserve per trust line. And actually, that's not 80%. That's over 50%. So the validators submit what they think those three should be set at. And
Mhm.
once they get over 50%, the network changes it to those fees. And what's funny is
Nice.
they actually did change it to like 12 drops, I think it was, or higher. It was like 20 maybe. And then I saw that it went back down. So I thought that was interesting. Um, because like there was a big push to up the transaction fees, especially
Sure.
when the reserve fees went down. And the transaction fees were up for a little while, but I see that they went back down.
I thought that was the funniest thing though. It was one of the chief complaints to new people coming into the XRPL and the Zombie wallet. They're like, well, I don't want to have to pay 10 XRP I don't want to have to pay like 2 XRP per trust line. How much is it now per trust line? It's very cheap.
Yeah, so now it's zero point 0.2 for the trust line and
Yeah.
1 XRP for the wallet. So,
It was amazing because we all got a refund. Like we got a
yeah,
refund back on that. You didn't have to go through and manually like just delete all of these. They literally like credited it back to your
yeah, they
wallet.
just released it, right? Like,
Yeah.
there you go. You can have it now. And if XRP goes up more, there'll be more votes down to decrease it as well. And the same thing would happen. But I think it's good that they decreased it because we're supposed to be about like financial inclusion, right? And you're
Yeah.
going to get that when you make things cheap and accessible.
I love it. I have a question here. Can you please post the site to the project where we can download the validator files to run our own node? Also, analyst, I'm not sure if you're talking about the XRPL node or if Algorand, because we touched on that too. And I know she touched on interest in Corium. So just let us know specifically, but I'm sure Kristen can send it to me and I can share as well. I personally
Absolutely.
don't know.
It's actually really simple. XRPL.org has all the
Yeah.
documentation, or take XRPL Commons Bootcamp course that Chris created, because that's a really good
Okay.
source too.
Okay. Yep. And yeah, she was saying how like she got so much awesome information from that boot camp. I've also seen a lot of YouTube videos on it as well. I'm not sure which ones are the easiest to watch because sometimes you get into a YouTube video and you're like, oh, this is not the one. But it seems like there's a lot of helpful information out there on setting it up. But I just think it's pretty cool that you did that. Yep. XRPL. Interesting that there is a 50% threshold for a change. It is.
Yeah, because everything's 80. You always heard 80, right? But fees are 50%.
And you would think not. Like you would think it would have to be like at least 51%.
It might be 51 because it's technically over 80 for consensus. So it's probably technically over 50 for the fees too.
Cool. Okay, so whenever you do the Corium one, will you share that process with us as well? Because I think that that's super helpful.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that would be
I
cool.
would do that. I mean, I don't know a lot of people in the algo community, so I don't think that that would have been helpful to anyone. But Corium, a lot of XRPL people like
Yeah,
Corium. So,
they do. They definitely do.
mhm.
But yeah, no, that's really all of the questions I had. Guys, if you have any questions, Lady K is here to drop it in the chat. And like obviously we're more on the beginner level now. Like I told her, don't go too deep where it's gonna make my head just completely blow up. I've got to take these in small doses with everybody. We don't want to scare anybody away too. But no, I appreciate you coming on and going through all of that with us. I think it's such an interesting topic. And like we said, there's free courses, right? The XRPL Commons course, that bootcamp is free, right? If somebody wants to do
Uh,
that.
no, you do have to pay for
Oh,
it.
okay.
And we're still in October, and there is a code out there right now for October, which I think you can get it for $15. It's somewhere in my timeline. Um, I can find it
Oh,
and give you that.
$15. That's really inexpensive.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, to
and
be able
he's
to do that and
working
learn.
on part two. And so I'm
Right.
really excited to go through that one and kind of up my my understanding.
You know what I was thinking about was the free course. There is an XRPL course that is free that you can go through and you
Easy
can
A?
literally learn. Yes, I think that is there's Easy A, but then there's also another one that they have out where you can learn all of the basics, right?
Oh, XRPL.org has a lot of
Yeah,
tutorials as well. That's where I had said
that's
you
the
did
one.
documentation. They
Yes,
have great
that's
videos.
they
So,
do. I started in those, and honestly, it breaks it down. It's so easy to digest. So if you want to get in there, you want to learn more about it, definitely recommend that.
yeah, and
Um,
XRPL Commons has been putting out a lot of educational content too. I think I just saw a thing the other day about I'm gonna have to go and look before I miss because I don't remember, but they put out a lot of good stuff.
I guess Jenna, I have you scared going down these geeky rabbit holes. I love these geeky rabbit holes. It's so funny. I go down so many with Stephanie, and she's a trip, and working super hard. And now I'm down the midnight rabbit hole. So thank you for that, Stephanie. But yeah,
Very
I know that I know that you have your next show, and you guys are actually doing next a really awesome topic. You have James Rule on, and you guys are going to go down the crypto scams rabbit hole, which is super fitting right now, seeing as how everything's just blowing up. So I think that that's gonna be a really good topic.
Yeah, that's for Dip a Toe
Okay.
in an hour. Melissa and Simon, their show. And
Okay.
yeah, they're having James on there about that. It's such an important topic, right? Because so many people have fallen victim to that. And any one of us can fall victim to that.
Oh, absolutely. James is one I called yesterday as soon as the Zhao Zhao got taken. But cool part is we've gotten all the connects we need that are fixing the issue in the background. But these scammers are just getting so creative now, but the biggest thing that we're seeing that is a huge trend, and there's actually a lot of accounts under attack right now, but they just create this FOMO, this sense of urgency about something. And like in the case of the Zhao Dao, it was an email that was sent that looked like it was from X, and it said that there was a copyright violation. If you don't fix this within X amount of time, we're going to suspend your account. And it was they actually had a picture like of the AI video that we had posted of like a step-by-step how-to, and it looked completely legit. But then once you click it and you enter in your stuff, you know, you're gone, you're taken. That it's just like that. But there are literally so many out there. Like we've seen so many fake Zaman accounts, so many different people pretending to be support and just calling people the fake ledger scams. They're literally everywhere. I get fake Coinbase things to my phone every day. So I think that that's going to be a really helpful show. It's like, even if you've been in crypto for so long, you might still learn something that you didn't know, or just to refresh your memory. So I highly suggest you tune into that. James is definitely, he's one of my favorite people in the space. He was my very first interview
He
ever.
was?
He was.
That's
Do you know what I
awesome.
did? We did the whole interview and I forgot to record it. So we had to do it all again the next.
Oh my gosh. Lessons
It was
learned,
the worst.
right?
Yeah, yeah, lessons learned. And luckily James is a good guy, and he's like, "No worries. I'll see you again tomorrow." It's like, "Okay, cool. We'll do it." But yeah, no, that'll be a good one. And you guys run a space after this though, right? Like an X space after it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? Melissa's really good. She like definitely wants the audience to be included. And not only does she interact very well during, but she does that after space so people can come in and like, voice their thoughts about what they talked about on the space. So I think that's really cool.
Perfect. It's like the after hours show. Very
Yeah.
good. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kristen. I appreciate you. And yeah, continue tuning into all your spaces. And thank you for everything you do, educating everyone. And honestly, you're just a really great ambassador for the XRPL community. And I appreciate you.
Aw, thank you. Thank you for having me on and talking about this. Sorry if I talk too fast. I hope I didn't
No,
miss anyone. But
you break
no,
things down very easily. And I appreciate that.
well, thank you so much.
All right, guys, thank you out there for tuning in. We appreciate it. And if you have you want to see more of Kristen, follow her content. She is Lady K on X at Lady Kristen 222. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great night.